Hello everyone, 5 Minute here. Hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. Today we're going to be talking about all things Halloween Horror Nights 2024 at Universal Studios Hollywood. For the first half of this video, I'll be going over what houses we can expect to see this year, as well as scare zones, live entertainment, and the theme for this year's Terror Tram. For the second part of the vid, I'll be expressing how hyped I am for these attractions in the form of a ranking. So let's not waste any time, let's get straight into it. Let's kick things off with the 8 haunted houses that will be featured this year. One of the big headlining attractions will be A Quiet Place. The maze will be based on the first 2 films in the hit franchise and will be located in UBE, home of the retired Walking Dead attraction. Located in the H lot is Insidious: The Further. This will be the 4th time the popular film series makes its appearance at HHN and will incorporate elements from all 5 movies. Right next to Insidious will be Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. This is the 2nd time Ghostbusters appears in the event, and as the name implies, it will be based on the film that was released earlier this year, but will also feature some characters from the entire franchise. Returning for their 6th time in a row are the Universal Monsters with their new maze, Eternal Bloodlines. The Bride of Frankenstein returns, and this time she is teaming up with Saskia Van Helsing to help destroy Dracula's daughter and her monstrous alliance. This one will actually be featured in a brand new location inside Soundstage 12, which, fun fact, is where the original Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein movies were filmed, which is pretty awesome. Returning for their 2nd time in a row is Monstros, which is now titled The Nightmares of Latin America. This will be in the same location as last year, Parisian Courtyard, and will feature new monsters which are El Cucuy, El Charro, y El Cadejo. Coming exclusively to Hollywood's event is The Weeknd Nightmare Trilogy. This is the 2nd time the popular artist gets a maze and will pull inspiration from After Hours, Dawn FM, and his upcoming album. This will be located in the same soundstage as last time, the one right behind Transformers. Located in T-Pad, where Holidays in Hell was last year, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Legacy of Leatherface. This will be the 6th time this iconic franchise will appear at HHN, 7 if you count Titans of Terror. The concept for this one is that the Sawyer family has moved to an abandoned slaughterhouse to continue their human meat business. The maze will also feature every single version of Leatherface from all of the movies, taking a multiverse type approach. And finally, we have Dead Exposure Death Valley, located next to the Mummy Ride. This is an original concept that is loosely based on the houses in Orlando of the same name. In this house, you will enter a secret government facility where you'll encounter undead super soldiers and other radioactive creatures. In terms of this year's scare zones, there will be 4, one more than last year's total. The theme for this year's Chainsaw Zone is Chainsaw Punks. In New York Street are the Skull Lords, where it'll be filled with medieval undead creatures. Located right next to Monstros will be Luchadores Monstruosos, which will have 2 Mexican wrestlers face off against masked monsters. And the fan favorite Crow family is set to make their return this year, but this time they will have a whole scare zone dedicated to them. The scare zone will be located in the Hub, which is the area between the entrance to Hogsmeade and the construction site for the future Fast and Furious coaster. The zone will include the return of Edgar Allan Crow, his son and father, and the introduction of Mama Crow. The Terror Tram this year is titled Enter the Blumhouse. Jason Blum is collaborating with Universal once again to bring us a brand new Terror Tram. Some of the characters we can expect to see include Megan, the Grabber, the Butcher from Freaky, and some Purgers, just to name a few. Speaking of Purgers, also set to make its return this year is The Purge: Dangerous Waters. The show last year was fairly well received and was a pretty decent crowd eater, so naturally they had to bring it back for 2024. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the full lineup for this year's Horror Nights. But what do I think about it? Well, let's talk about it, shall we? So not only will I rank the mazes from least anticipated to most anticipated, but I also have a hype meter to show how exactly I feel about each attraction. Number 8. The house I'm least excited to experience this year is gonna be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, if I didn't watch John Murdy's panel from Midsummer Scream, Texas Chainsaw would probably be in my LOL tier because we've seen this property so many times at Horror Nights, it's become a meme at this point. But the concept does sound somewhat intriguing. Ignoring the cringy multiverse approach, the maze does seem like it'll have some intense and gory moments that will hopefully make it stand out from all the other Texas Chainsaw mazes. Number 7 for me is gonna be Ghostbusters. And I really hate to say that because it's Ghostbusters. Everybody loves Ghostbusters. But it's just that I really don't have any strong, passionate feelings towards Frozen Empire. Besides the main bad guy, all the other ghosts either aren't scary looking enough or don't have enough screen time. And overall, I'm just more interested in checking out my top 6. Numbers 5 and 6 are really close for me, but after doing a lot of thinking, I'm gonna put The Weeknd as my number 6. After Hours Nightmare was a very love or hate kind of maze. I personally really enjoyed it. However, as much as I'm really looking forward to revisiting those fun party vibes while I'm jamming to the music, I am a bit worried that it's gonna be a bit lackluster. Worst case scenario, they phone in the maze because they are prioritizing the other ones, so they recycle a lot of set pieces or just won't put that much effort into the scares. It's kind of hard to explain, but I just have this feeling that it's not going to be nowhere near as good as the first one. But I do know for a fact that it'll at least be fun. Just edging out The Weeknd is my number 5, which is Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. Last year's Unmasked is my least favorite of all the classic monster mazes so far, and I'm worried this maze is going to follow that trend of the slow decline in quality of the production value, but since they're revisiting the Bride of Frankenstein character and her storyline, and also the maze will have a snowy aesthetic, and it's going to be located in a soundstage, all that just makes me a bit more excited for this one. This could potentially be a great one. But then again, I also thought Unmasked was going to be potentially great, and I didn't really care very much for that one. So, I don't know. We'll see. Number 4 for me is going to be A Quiet Place. Now, if you stop and actually see what mazes are coming this year, you'll notice that this is the only IP that's never been featured in Horror Nights before. Everything else is a repeat, so that automatically makes me more excited than half of what the other mazes are offering. However, this is going to be located where Evil Dead Rise was last year. I enjoyed Evil Dead Rise, but my biggest issue that I had with it was how the structure of the Walking Dead building kind of messed with the pacing. I could be wrong, but I did hear that they finally gutted some of the walls inside sometime this year, and hopefully that is the case. But other than that, I am very curious to see how they're going to pull off the quietness of it all. But yeah, if done right, I can honestly see A Quiet Place being compared to The Last of Us from last year. My number 3 is going to be Dead Exposure, Death Valley. I don't really see a whole lot of people being excited for this one. I feel like it's definitely becoming the most overlooked of this whole lineup. I honestly think this has tons of potential, and if done right, I can see this being compared to Scarecrow. I don't know about y'all, but I'm definitely keeping my eye on this maze. My number 2 is Insidious The Further. Fun fact, my all-time favorite maze at Horror Nights is Insidious from 2015. In my eyes, it checked all the right boxes. It perfectly adapted the movies and it was scary as hell. The one based on the 4th movie, however, was one of the more disappointing mazes I've ever experienced. I remember there only being like one good scene at the end, but overall, I thought it was pretty boring. I'm hoping the creative team learned their lessons from the last house and try to make this one truly scary. So as of now, I'm very optimistic about this one. So that means by process of elimination, my number 1 is Monstros 2. Now, I know we had it last year, so we somewhat know what to expect. However, we're gonna see a brand new set of monsters, and every time Murdy makes a Latin American maze, it's always an all-timer for a lot of fans, and that's why it's my most anticipated of the year. The Terror Tram is definitely one where I had to really search my feelings for. Usually when I see the theme of the Terror Tram, it's either an automatic sign me up or an automatic can't wait to not do this one. But this year was pretty interesting. Blumhouse for me is like the box of chocolates of the horror genre. You might get a certified banger like The Black Phone or Happy Death Day. You might get a decent enough rainy day watch like Megan or Five Nights at Freddy's. Or you might get an abysmal waste of time and money, such as Truth or Dare or Night Swim. So in terms of the type of frights that we'll be getting, I got mixed emotions. However, I've been looking at some of the construction and it looks like they're definitely going for some outside the box kind of things here. With multiple facades and the unique looking pathing, I am really curious to see how all that's gonna pan out. So for now, I'm gonna put this in my will check out tier. Last but not least, let's talk about the scare zones for this year. Where exactly does each zone rank in my hype meter? LOL. They're all LOL. Scare zones haven't been competently made since 2016, so they're all a laughingstock in my eyes. Actually, I'm lying, not all of the zones are LOL. The Crow Scare Zone is something that I am somewhat looking forward to. Not because of the actual zone, but I kind of want to see how well the area is going to go, since it could be pretty congested during peak hours, and I just want to support the crows. I love supporting all of the scare actors, but the crow actors are commendable for being in those elaborate costumes all night just for our enjoyment, so Murder of Crows is going on my will check out tier. And those are my overall thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights 2024. And that is also going to be it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you're most excited for this year's Horror Nights. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click the like button. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you stuck around to the very end of the video, thank you so much for watching. And until then, see you all in the fog.